Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Funhaus.
James.
I mean, no one ever said we're starting.
James.
No, it's okay.
obvious.
I like.
over.
We're just here.
I want you guys.
No, Rocket!
I hope you guys understand what I'm doing here. It's like the movie theater experience where people are coming in.
That's not how the movie theater. It's just for you.
Oh.
Because you go to shitty downtown movie theaters.
My mic can't stretch that far.
Sorry, it's true.
Then Adam will have to come this way.
Oh, like
Like that, and then Lawrence will have to go that way.
Anyway,
And then that's it.
as we
There you
shuffle,
go.
all the shuffling is actually brought to you by Blue Apron. We'll be talking about more of them later. They're a fine sponsor, and I've got personal things to say about them.
Whoa.
What?
That sounds mean?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was just the inflection in my voice. Sorry. I'm just really excited because we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, a movie that came out over a week ago. And now we've had time to sit around and digest it. Everyone here saw the movie, correct?
Correct.
Then we'll be spoiling the shit out of it. So prepare. That's the Cars trailer. There we go. There we go.
That's just a test.
No, that was Cars. This is Guardians.
Oh, boy. So I'm going to just do kind of a general consensus. What did everyone think of the movie? Please all speak at once.
I thought it was
Good.
and beautiful.
It was good.
It was a good movie.
I liked it.
It was very good.
It was fun.
It was good.
Now that the review's over, let's move on to some other news.
All right.
No, we can talk about it. And, details. So Guardians of the Galaxy is a sequel. I didn't look at the box office results. It just did really good.
I made 145 million over the weekend.
Made too much
Except-
money.
It's all right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it's
okay.
only
Is
okay.
that worldwide
okay.
or is it out in?
I think that
How
was
does that compare?
only domestic.
How does that
yeah.
compare to Fast and Furious 12 or whatever?
Not as good.
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't know what the opening was domestic for
Fast and Furious is a phenomenon, man.
Fast and Furious. Although,
Everyone loves
Guardians
cars.
getting there.
Not everyone loves raccoons,
Exactly.
as we are learning the hard way. There we go. Made
It's-
nearly $500 million.
we had $500 million worldwide.
Woo-wee.
Woo! What about Fast and Furious? How'd that do?
Better.
Did it?
It's been out longer.
Well, yeah.
No, but in the
Opening weekend.
Oh, I mean,
Gosh, it's made $1 billion already.
yeah.
They're gonna
once
make
the-
him forever, man. It's
Once the
great.
Chinese figure out that Scott Eastwood is not Paul Walker, they're gonna lose their shit.
They'll never know.
God. Anyway, so Guardians of the Galaxy tells the story of a bunch of miscreants in the far-off galaxy of who knows where, and has very little to do with the rest of the MCU, as James hates. Or no, James loves.
likes.
Yeah.
Oh, he
yeah.
likes that.
Can we bring in your guest, please?
You knocked him off the chair already.
Yeah.
I think it might have more to
Bradley
do with
Cooper,
it
ladies and
than we
gentlemen.
think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just
You're
like in
probably
the
you're
movie.
right.
I think. Well, at least I think you're alluding to the fact that they're in our galaxy. We know that because Peter Quill's from Earth.
They're in our galaxy, but also just little things like setting up Adam what's his face at the end.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock.
Warlock.
Yeah.
Setting up Gamora's sister as more of a protagonist, because I think she's going to be pretty crucial in the death of Thanos.
Anti-heroes,
when
I
they
agree.
Thanos won't.
and there are probably other things that we would never interpret as having an impact on the rest of the movies, but we'll see later do.
Well, if I forgot to tell you the spoiler, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of spoilers, so that's your second warning. So get out. If you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe go see it. Join the rest of the world in the phenomenon that
what
is
are-
Guardians of the Galaxy.
What are the spoilers though, other than Yondu dying? I mean, like
Spoiler.
he said it like 3 times.
Whoa.
Spoiler. He didn't say they were coming
Also,
yet. He said
Yondu
they
is
were
like
gonna.
barely a character we cared about in the first one.
How dare you? This is why Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was so good.
I
Did an
know.
amazing
By the
job.
end of it, it made the hokey, redneck, disposable, pre-antagonist feel like part of the team.
Well, in the second one, yes.
No, by the end of the first one.
Yeah, when he
by the
does
end of
his
the
cool,
first
like,
one, he
dark
was
thing.
using his dudes in the Ravagers to help. He was
What?
that was the whole point. He fought off all the bad
was
guys on the
totally a
planet.
moment of
He was-
redemption.
If you, at the end of the second movie, yes.
No,
But
at
in
the end of the first movie,
yeah,
he was part of the Nova Force's team to help stop the whole rebellion.
I know, but then they stole the thing from him, or they wanted to take the gem from him. So that's what I'm trying to say. That they weren't the good guys that we thought they
He
were.
was part of their team.
I think the
at end
implication
of
is
it.
that's how Yondu justified it, but
Yeah.
and they
Yes.
touch on that in the second film too. It's like you keep doing this stuff and making up some excuse.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have the context now. So
Yeah,
from
I
this
suppose
movie,
you're right, yeah.
Well, they did a pretty interesting thing in the first one where actually I didn't like Yondu. I think Michael Rooker is a a polarizing actor. You either love him or you hate him.
I think
He's only one thing.
he is only one thing, but he's, he's a good one.
He's
So, like,
Tombstone or he's Cliffhanger. Who,
Yeah.
I mean, take your pick.
Cliffhanger?
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely, he was
Yeah.
maybe. I'm thinking
I
of him
just
from
remember John
like,
Lithgow.
I remember him from Walking Dead.
I was thinking Walking Dead, where I fucking
Maybe he's
hated
not in
him
Cliffhanger.
because he was like a one-handed racist.
Talking about the same
And
cliffhanger.
in this
right?
game,
me
he's a
check.
one-handed racist.
He called it a game.
I know you call it. Wait, is he one-handed in this
Man,
movie?
I've been doing that more
it's
and
like,
more.
Wow,
I don't know.
that would have been weird.
But either way, they did a thing in the first one where they made him kind of a bad guy because they're like, oh, they were supposed to take Peter to his dad, and then he didn't.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what a shithead. And then in this movie, you realize, oh, wait. It was actually, I thought it was a good story arc that took 2 movies.
yeah.
Hey,
I was like,
you know
this
what
is
a good
actually a
sequel
good-
does is it builds on the setup of the first film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what this does in spades.
It was a weird thing because I went in thinking, I'm like, I'm probably not going to like this movie. It's probably going to be.
Really?
I honestly didn't think it. I thought it was going to just be kind of fluff, and it's just
Same
sort of.
team.
I thought it was. Well, hold on. I thought it was going to be build up
to
to
like a part
to
3.
Infinity War.
Ah.
I thought it was going to be the Iron Man 2 that everyone didn't like. It was just a build up for Avengers, but it ended up just being its own kind of story, and it was very self contained, and it built on the first movie, and it kind of didn't have anything else to do with Ant-Man, and that was cool.
It seems like it stands out mostly from the Marvel cinematic experience more than any other film. Because the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I get why it wasn't so latched onto other things, because they were like, we don't know how. This was like their experiment. They're like, we don't know how this is. We have the guy from Parks and Rec, and it's a bunch of characters that we did a survey of, and nobody knows.
The director did what? Slither?
Yeah. It's a director who did trauma films, and now we're doing this. Okay, well, we're not gonna make it integral. Well, it'll be a side thing, so we'll have like one of the gems, and then maybe like a little reference here or there. And it
Are you
was
talking about the first
immensely
Guardians of the
successful.
Galaxy?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was that, but go on.
What?
I didn't think it was just like a little side thing. It had Thanos in it. I thought it was big deal. I thought it was big time.
But that didn't really have much to do. It didn't affect the events of the other film.
Well, but
That movie could have not existed, and the MCU storyline
Yeah.
will still progress.
It didn't affect
You'd still be
anything.
like, who's that purple guy from 2012?
Well, for me, I kind of agree with Elise though, because I think they were doubling down on that. Like they were like, you know what? Like I honestly think behind the scenes, everyone was like, "Fuck, we spent a lot of money on this movie. We got a lot of people. We invested a lot of time in this, and hopefully it succeeds." That's the way it felt to me, because it's a really well put together film that a lot of people really cared about, but. Sort of in front of the scenes, everyone's like, whatever. If it doesn't do it, no big deal. It's just another Ant-Man. And I think behind the scenes, they're really, really invested in the film. And I think it paid off. I think it
But
showed.
Ant-Man was way more tied to it. Ant-Man was like, oh, let's put Falcon in here. Like, let's actually have them go to S.H.I.E.L.D. and do stuff like that and get involved. This is like, Guardians of the Galaxy was like, there's a gem, and there's that shadowy figure that you saw in one movie, but that's it. And he's kind of only somewhat involved.
I would disagree, because I think like knowing that we're Infinity, where the like all the gems are going, where that storyline's going, and the fact that the Guardians are that not supernatural, but they are more the
Less supernatural.
they more
They're like the.
they're not supernatural.
They're on the cosmic tier of
Yeah, they're in
like,
space.
okay.
of
I'll
power shit with Doctor Strange.
they are the like more the sci-fi element of like of that story, and when that battle comes, they're going to be. Scarlet Witch is going to be bringing the magic. Those kind of characters are going to be doing that, and they're going to be bringing like that space battle element. I think, and I do think that like Nebula is being set up to be a bigger part of like the Thanos story because of what they set up. So I don't think that it was like I personally disagree with that. I don't think it was like this is a separate thing that if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I think with the planning Marvel does, it was a big part of the planning.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 came out, and a bunch of other Marvel's movies came out, and none of them have had anything to do with Guardians of the Galaxy since that point in time.
Because I think Guardians of the Galaxy
Thanos has even disappeared into the background.
because I think Guardians of the
only
Galaxy is
character-
bigger. It's out of their world.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying.
That's the thing.
That's exactly
is
what I'm
they
saying.
can go into their world.
No,
That's exactly
you're
what I'm saying.
You're both
I would-
saying the same thing,
I
but
think, yeah.
differently.
So my
just questioning
point
their
is,
motivation.
like
my point is, it was a movie that could stand on its own, and you would think once they saw it was immensely successful, they would have then been like, all right, now how can we flip this back and get it back into this other money-making machine? Guardians of the Galaxy 2 isn't that.
Not to drag this on, I think it's exactly the opposite. I think they made
bet
the
big?
music they made the movie to survive on its own. And I think Ant-Man, they realized, oh, fuck, like this movie's not going to, they
Ant-Man was
need
garbage.
other characters to
what
come
I'm
in.
saying. I don't understand.
Well, no, I know.
Give us more
exactly what I'm
mantis, they
saying.
said.
Yeah.
well, no, but again, I think that's what's interesting about these arguments in general is that we can't argue both sides of this, and it's amazing that somebody like basically stood back and planned this whole deal and said like this is the way it's going to be, and we can sit here and try and
I like
speculate on
this.
the motivations forever.
I like this because we all agree so much, circle jerk each other so much. Oh,
Yeah.
we're all so smart. We all know this. So I like when we come at it from different perspectives.
I'm just saying, you have Iron Man 1, a movie that stands on its own.
Okay.
And then they're like, wow, this is really successful. Let's do Iron Man 2 such that it feeds into other movies to make them seem like they can be more important or whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 doesn't do that. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 doesn't really feed into anything else in the Marvel Universe except for the fact that we know that Infinity War is the title for the next movie.
They seed things very more than.
But
so-
it may. That's what's so cool.
But it
retrospect,
doesn't
yeah.
it
It's
doesn't
not
matter
obvious
until
now.
later. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Well, they did a thing in one where they had loose things where like, okay, we'll have Benicio del Toro as the collector. He will be a thing. Now we have the gem. This movie could live or not. But in the second one, yes, they went further where they're like, okay, now Adam Warlock's going to be a big character. That plays into because
But
Iron
even
Man
that-
can't do
that's-
shit against Thanos. You need some supernatural space being, which
That's
kinda
also a post-credits scene. So
Yeah.
Well, there was
like,
a theory
one of
that
five.
there was a
I
theory
know.
there was a theory they were seeding Adam Warlock in the first Guardians because in the collector's shop there was a cocoon and people were like, "Oh, that's Adam Warlock."
okay.
But then James Gunn came out and he was like, "No, that wasn't Adam."
You're all
Warlock."
wrong and dumb.
But maybe it was supposed to be an allusion to that. Who knows?
Maybe.
But I think these guys are such nerds. They put in stuff that like people don't even pick up on.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's like Howard the Duck in it.
Yeah,
but
which
that
is
doesn't
cute.
mean
That's the
he's a
second
big
time.
part
That's
of
the second time.
I
you
saw
know.
that the theory is that Howard the Duck is being set up to be the cameo when Stanley dies.
Okay, I could see that.
But I mean, that's just a theory that they're like, let's
really
put him in
funny.
there now because
How can
Stan.
we find something more annoying?
It was actually there's the cameo is interesting because they did the bit where they're jumping through galaxies and you see Stanley as like an astronaut and he's like the informant.
He's with the Watchers, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
so there was an interesting thing about the Watchers being in the film.
yeah.
They are technically there's the weird custody battle, right? There's an article that came out this today, and they're talking about how only certain studios can use certain things, but the Watchers. They're here. It's the weird court thing where it says the Watchers can be used, but you cannot use the word like Uta, like
What?
the character Uta or something like that is one of the
So it has
Watchers.
to be a different bald.
Well, no, they're like you could show
guy
him
with a large.
Really?
and he,
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, imagine the judge reading the paper like,
Yeah.
He's
So
a
you-
Texas judge too.
yeah.
Get out of here.
What the hell?
the people
that do with
versus
cattle?
man thing.
You can make Swamp Thing, but not the man thing.
It's like the parents of Fantastic Four get in here.
Here's an interesting thing about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because I was trying to think about it. It has all of the same things that you would hate in Suicide Squad. But it's
you're
all
right, it
done
does,
awesome.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like a lot of
Yeah.
the cheap techniques that Suicide Squad
you're right.
did to try and make you think or care or whatever, like adding music or putting just a senseless action after senseless action with like no real. It's not all plot driven. It's kind of just like, oh, it's been 5 minutes since the space battle, so let's do something. Except Guardians of the Galaxy looks like everyone involved cares about the property. And put some time into figuring out a way to tell it through the lens of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Well,
That it works.
I think Zack Snyder just gave the editor his iPod Mini and said, "Here's a bunch of cool stuff that I had in 2005. Go nuts." And then James Gunn is like, well, he's got kind of more of a Tarantino feel to him. He goes, here's some old music I used to listen to, and I think it fits well with the theme of this
Well-
movie. And they probably nixed a bunch of things.
I mean, I think
they
if
made it
you
work.
probably look at the script for Guardians of the Galaxy, it probably says, electric light orchestra starts playing
Yes.
during this sequence.
I agree.
And it's timed out in
100%.
this way so
Yes.
that so Groot does a little hop when he goes Mr. Blue Sky or whatever. And it's probably a way more structured like that. Whereas Suicide Squad, they just got back and they're like, wow, it's really boring during
need to
this
put
sequence.
music
in.
What can we put? Eminem, how much does that cost? Like,
Yeah.
so then they just threw
They're like,
it
wait,
in.
we own that because we're Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Baby
it's-
Driver will be an interesting foray into
Yeah.
the musical tie-in because that script at the very first page says music is an important part of this movie and informs the film or something
Edgar
like
Wright's musical
that.
cues have always been
And,
impeccable,
Yeah,
though.
they are.
He basically wrote Baby Driver around the music though,
Yeah,
which I think is
looking
really
I think that's
interesting.
that's exactly what James is saying.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright and James Gunn, I think the more that I watch their films, the more I kind of see similarities between the two directors
Yeah.
and their projects. That said, I like Edgar Wright more. However, James Gunn is quickly becoming a fast favorite of mine.
I suppose.
How did he do it? Like certain directors can just balloon up to do these cosmic films, and they
Yeah.
fucking nail
They
them.
nail it,
It's
yeah.
big. It's an inherent passion for film
Yeah.
and filmmaking. I don't think he's ever treated it like a job. Even when he was doing Slither or whatever, when he was doing schlocky
you could
whatever,
tell he cared.
It's like, well, he probably wanted to do this shit in his backyard. It's just the difference is now he has a budget of $200 million as opposed to 200,000.
I remember when I first saw Star Trek, I was like, holy shit, J.J. Abrams can do anything. Or actually, Mission Impossible 3 was the first one. I was like, damn it, he did like good TV pilots and stuff like
did
that,
Felicity.
and then just did a massive like multi-million-dollar film, like CG and action sequences and everything, and it all fit. I'm like, how do you know how to do that?
Well,
Shit.
it's always more than one person. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, of course.
Behind every great man is a great woman. Behind every great director is a fantastic
whole
production company
staff,
called
yeah.
Bad Robot. Like that's the thing is like you have they find great people to work with and they stick with them. And James Gunn's he's an interesting fellow too because like the cameos should kind of tell you the circles he's in.
Yeah.
he had Rob Zombie and Johnny Urine.
I saw Johnny Urine. Like the second he showed up, I was like, fuck me, that really? Okay.
Yeah, I was like he obviously has like musical ties and
Yeah.
like. I mean, Rob Zombie's probably a really cool friend to have, and you're like, tell me more about Dracula.
And I think
was that
this
like?
is one of those perfect matches because
I don't do the dishes.
Marvel has a tendency to find
burnt the
directors with talent, scout talented directors, but also ones who don't have a ton of leverage, right?
Yep.
So that way Marvel can still like come in and say like, well, it needs to match this, or the tone you're going for doesn't fit with our grand scheme of things. And I think this is a match made in heaven because this property is such an underdog,
Yeah.
whatever property, or at least it was before the first movie came out. Sorry, comic book nerds. And so having James Gunn involved, I bet he was probably that comic book nerd that was like,
He's like, oh shit,
I love Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
and like all of his friends are like, who?
Yeah.
And so he was
Like,
probably
I'm
the
really
perfect
excited.
merger for it, where he's like, yes, I'm totally excited to do it. I want to bring my kind of gritty, weird, almost grindhousey
Yeah.
vision to it. And they're like, awesome, here's $150 million to do that. And he's like, what?
I know.
And he probably used to working on no budget, spent every dime of it in the best way possible. This is a lot of
Speculation,
but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Well, also you could do things like because Drax, I believe in the comics, supposed to be as strong as Hulk. At least he is during like the Infinity War.
Really?
Yeah. And so like they obviously nerfed him since this is a video game.
well, everything's cosmic.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know. He could be working in more gravity on these planets.
I didn't know that.
maybe.
I did notice there were a couple of scenes that, for comedy's sake, sort of bounced Drax around.
Yeah.
But then in terms of like continuity, I'm like, can he really just get slapped around between trees and be
does.
totally okay?
He
He
is
does appear
basically-
pretty indestructible.
he's basically Space Hulk, like
Yeah.
he's supposed to be. But it's like a fun part in the Infinity War, like he and Hulk are basically fighting each other, and like, wow, we're evenly matched. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But then they're obviously you can change that in the movie, and there's probably one guy in the audience going, "Humph,"
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "Shut
Who
up."
cares? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Dear
Yeah,
God.
I'm going to call it out, though. It's part of an ongoing trend.
Okay.
They inserted yet another character that is fantastically socially awkward.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
That is, I swear to God, this is a millennial thing. Not in a bad way,
Millennium.
but there's always a character that can't socialize in every like property that's meant to be cross-generational now.
See, to me, it was just introducing the yin to the yang because Star-Lord has Gamora, Groot, and Rocket, and then when the second she showed up and said something inane, I was like, oh God, she's there for Drax.
Yeah.
And I was perfect, like that playing, and they also added a new element because otherwise it would have just been him again in this film saying
They
very
dialed up his,
literal
comedic relief.
things and
Yeah.
being very confused, but having him play off of her and him mock her inability to fit in I thought was a pretty great way of evolving his character.
That's really hard to do
And-
too,
yeah.
as a writer and I'm probably obviously a director, is to add more characters into an already great ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And the only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Joss Whedon, who did that with Avengers. Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
No, absolutely not. 100%
Diminish
not.
the characters.
Yeah,
no, you're
Ludacris
right.
and the
Every
female
single
version of
film
Ludacris are the same
post-
person.
No.
Fast and Furious 1,
Yeah.
they've become less and less.
No, you're
cheap.
But Joss Whedon's always been really good at an ensemble cast, whether or not it was Buffy or Avengers or whatever
yeah.
else. And James Gunn, just did a fantastic job. Immediately make me
Yeah.
like Mantis
Yeah.
and
Had
Nebula
more
for no
characters.
reason.
Here's the thing.
Give them all meaning.
And Yondu.
Movies like this really succeed like with stuff like that, but then you can see where they start at the character level, because there's even Yondu's like second in command dude,
Oh,
tall
yeah.
skinny head,
James Gunn's brother.
who's
Sean
just
Gunn.
like even when he's like
James Gunn's brother.
He also
he's
plays
like,
Rocket.
So he's the
Captain,
Ted
I don't
Raimi?
know if it's a good idea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you're like, oh, he doesn't believe that. This will come into play later. It's
little
those
whistle
types
tooth.
of things.
Yeah.
You know?
I
They
also
give him all
thought
the most adorable accents too.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should be doing this.
And Taserface.
Sean Gunn.
Taserface
is
was
great.
Yeah.
I know.
Mantis and Nebula also kind of beef out more female characters in an otherwise pretty male
She's mostly a
movie.
robot.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Well, Nebula and Gamora are both like super strong. Like you saw Gamora pick up that giant cannon
Yeah, that
off
was
the
a cool-
spaceship
cool
and then
shot.
fire it. So
She's probably the biggest badass. Anyway, I want to give it all of us have our final verdict, but first I want to remind you that this episode of Filmhouse brought to you by Blue Apron. So Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone and impact the community in a very positive way. Speaking of which, I tried it for the first time last night. It's great.
Okay,
It's so
all right, there
easy.
you go.
Lawrence
Lawrence
has
has been
described it countless times.
Yeah.
They just ship you all the ingredients.
lived
It's
the
all
dream.
there.
Oh.
They give you all the instructions. It's done. Like less than 40 minutes, you make like a meal and you actually feel like a chef. I don't know.
What'd
It
you
looked-
eat?
I got the wontons. It was really good. You make those?
Not yet.
Oh, they're
Wait, is
fantastic.
that a vegetarian option?
I don't
I didn't
think
get
it
that
was
this week.
vegetarian. I believe it was
I didn't get that this week.
I don't know either. I mean, it tasted delicious. A lot of vegetables. I was trying to be healthy. But yeah, anyway, it was fantastic. So I highly recommend it, especially if you're trying to cook and you just don't know what ingredients to buy. It's all there. They give you these little cards. They tell you how to do it. It's fantastic. So also Blue Apron partners with over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. So you know the stuff's good. There is a positive impact on the household as well, as I was talking about. Those who spend a lot at restaurants or high-end grocery chains can now spend under $10 for a delicious meal, and it was a delicious meal. So speaking of featured upcoming meals, I got the beef teriyaki stir fry with the sugar snap peas and lime rice. There's the baked spinach and egg flatbread with sauteed asparagus and lemon aioli. And Lawrence, you take that last one.
Well, I'll take this last one. Got 3 cheese and baby broccoli stromboli with tomato and oregano dipping sauce.
I just want that ASMR style voice for eating those sexy foods.
I burped a little.
So here it is, everyone. Please check out this week's menu. Get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/filmhouse. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So do not wait. That is blueapron.com/filmhouse, FILMHAUS. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Thank you, Blue Apron. You're a great sponsor, and we're happy to have you. So,
Thank you, Blue Apron.
yeah, hey, and final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy. Start with James. Give us your score.
My score
We're wearing the same
is
shirt.
probably 18 volumes out of 5.
wow, sounds like 100%, 110%, 130%, man.
Bruce?
For me, it was about 8 out of 10. I thought the movie was really good. I laughed a lot. I enjoyed it, but I did not feel the action was there. That's just for me.
Okay, Lawrence.
I'm going to give it 2 socially awkward but charming characters out of 2,000 years.
What?
Out of 2,000
no,
years?
I'll swap that one.
Oh, okay. 2,000 socially awkward characters out of...
2 years.
Yes. This is Millennium. Never mind.
Did you like it?
Yes.
And last but not least, Elise Willems.
I thought that it was charming and funny and emotional. I'm excited for the Zune because though I did enjoy
I
this.
forgot about the Zoom.
I did enjoy
one
the
ever?
soundtrack, and I thought that using the soundtrack to show that he was a man removed from his time and his home and the people he loved and the bond that his music showed between him and his mother, I thought that was all great. But I am excited to see like where that's going to take the tone of the next film, the new music, because I think it will change it. So I give it 15 Scrabbles when he discovers. Is it Last FM that has Scrabbles or
Spotify.
Spotify? When he finally gets to Spotify.
No, Last FM has Scrabbles.
But Spotify has it too.
Yeah, they
Oh,
both.
they-
Because it has Last FM built into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
God
That's
damn
like how Bruce can have Hotmail in his Gmail.
Yeah.
And he does.
I don't have that actually.
He does.
I have to log into a separate account.
GeoCities.
Oh, God. Well, thank you, everyone.
What about you,
as
Adam?
always.
Hey, what did you think?
As the moderator, I think I'm not allowed to have an opinion.
are.
That's
You
You
not
are.
true.
This is not a
Right, right.
professional.
Well, as always,
situation.
I don't look at these things as films in
Yeah,
the
you
way
do.
that. So look, I wouldn't categorize this as the same thing as something like Moonlight or La La Land. Like it is popcorn. It is all fun. it's a roller coaster ride. With that said, it was a very good roller coaster ride.
I thought it was better than La La Land.
There was one line in particular that actually, goddamn, this movie and having space characters actually resonate with someone when he said the line. He was your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Yeah.
I was like, ouch.
it's a great line.
Oh my God. Anyone who's grown
And it's
up.
in the voice of that character.
Yeah.
That's a great line.
And it is a blue man with a fin on his head that can make an arrow fly around. Resonated with a lot of people who have either had fathers not in their lives or been adopted in those sorts of situations. Like anyone who grew up without a dad ish. Yeah, they could totally get what they were saying in that line. That line actually carries a lot of weight. And I was like, a lot more than it should.
All right. You're just the moderator. We don't
So
need your opinions.
there it is. So yeah.
Yeah, Mary Poppins thing.
know,
I thought that was a cool Disney nod.
Poppins, y'all.
But they were allowed to say it.
Always like, is he cool? Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's I
good
would say maybe
movie-
the funniest Marvel movie.
It was very.
I was
very
gonna
funny.
say a good
Very
movie.
funny.
It reminded me of Deadpool, where there's a joke in every single scene, but the win-loss ratio on good jokes to bad jokes is way higher. You know, so you're like you forgive the ones that fall flat because there's another one right around the corner that's gonna be funny.
And they actually had like ongoing jokes and reoccurring things, whereas Deadpool was sort of like, "Ooh, you shit your pants," and everyone's like, "He said a bad one."
Every character is something you care about.
Yeah. With that said, though, I rewatched Deadpool recently, and it's still pretty good.
I had one problem with it.
Oh, what's the problem?
The way that English or the way that language works, Groot, he would have had an understanding of language before he would have the ability to, like, he can speak no problem, communicate no problem, but he has trouble understanding.
Well,
and
no,
retaining.
he's an idiot. I think it's because he's underdeveloped.
No, I think
it's like a kid.
but
Yeah.
that's not how a kid works. A kid can.
He's a
Anyway, I'm
space
not gonna.
plant.
The,
Oh, I see what
the
you're
science
saying.
of
I see what
language.
you're
A child
Because
has
he was talking to Rocket, but then also his thought process was like a kid, but he was talking to Rocket like an adult.
Yeah, like a child can understand language before they can ever regurgitate and
I see
speak
what
it
He's a
itself.
plant man.
I mean, he is a plant man.
He's a giant
and,
man.
Oh, I see. When
I
they
just,
were,
I just,
science
you know, I just
opposite.
thought that ruined the movie
when they were
for
trying
me.
to tell him. Oh that that guy's derpy eye on that shot. It's so good.
It's really. So we got a little bit of time. We can talk about a couple of things. Lawrence hit on a note that I thought was interesting.
Is it about the millennials?
It's about Samurai Jack, actually.
millennials.
I caught up on it, and I went through the Samurai Jack subreddit. People are upset.
Oh,
Samurai Jack, there is a...
Season 5 not ending.
Jack has he has a love interest.
Yeah, he does. I saw about that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and they have a very tender adult moment. They basically kiss.
is it gay?
Well, people were upset that both the character and Samurai Jack weren't homosexual. Tumblr exploded.
Wait, they
They were
weren't?
upset that
People
Samurai
were
Jack
hoping
was not gay.
People wanted Samurai Jack to be gay.
Oh, okay.
They
Well,
wanted-
that's just what they wanted.
I'm
Sometimes
surprised.
what you want isn't what you get.
I thought him being asexual was the big thing. I'm surprised that people were mad that I mean, I'm not surprised. But I figured the bigger uproar would be he's supposed to be like a monk, you know? He's supposed to be like a knight errant
Like
that has
celibate
sworn it
and
off. Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. That's always what
Well,
I
he's
interpreted.
supposed to take on the mantle of his father, and his father was banging, so that way that he could come out.
He is a man from whatever it is, 9th century Japan, and this is actually the first time.
Maybe he's bi, Tumblr. Just rock that out there for a little bit.
I mean, it is a show that it was made for children, so it was.
You know what?
devoid
Maybe
of
he's
any,
gay and desperate. You know what?
It could be.
He
He
may-
hasn't
Maybe-
boned in 4 seasons. Give the man a break.
Well, did they kiss?
Yeah, they embraced.
kissed?
Yeah,
Did they kiss?
there's like a tension throughout the episode, last couple episodes, and then they finally
They have
they're
they had sex in the episode.
No, they don't.
All right. Well,
Maybe.
sometimes you find companionship in a gender that you're not necessarily attracted to.
there's-
See? Like when you're in jail.
So there you
Yeah.
go, Tumblr. Everything's solved.
It's okay. Either way, it's
put on
my,
an AMV,
my
bro.
weekly note. I just want to say this
Nice.
season of Samurai Jack has been fantastic.
Nope.
Yes, it's been
Nope.
really good.
Because Tumblr said no.
You guys got to watch it. It's good.
We started from the beginning. Lisa and I did.
There is a. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I never
please.
watched it when it came out.
Doesn't matter.
I know, but
Yeah.
I wanted to. There's
There-
not that many episodes that it's an impossible
How are you
task.
watching it?
I think it's on Hulu.
I'm at
Okay.
Omar's house. Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
gotta
and
check
it's
it
on Hulu. I
Yeah.
think it's on Hulu.
It is. We've been
Or-
watching it on Hulu.
Either way,
No one's gonna figure out the code.
Yeah,
it's,
they
um,
will immediately.
it's. I've said this before, but it's a really good way of making a show in a way that you remember it, even though it wasn't like that when you first watched it.
Yeah.
Really good way of putting it.
It's so strange, like being like, oh, it was so artistically, so good, oh, so beautiful, and you rewatch it and go, ooh.
Well, it is. It is still really good.
It is, but it was very good for its time.
Yeah.
It hasn't aged as well as I thought it would.
I think it was also good at being efficient. Like
Yeah.
there were episodes
yeah.
that had no dialogue and very minimal motion.
Well, it's like
you
if
found a
you-
good way to cut the corners
If you go
on
back
that.
and you watch flash animations of those stick fightings,
Yeah,
like at
yeah.
the time you're like, oh,
Yeah.
But like it is still stick fighting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like we focused on the most minimal arts the way we could think the animation was after. There's still really great animation in the early episodes of Samurai Jack.
Yeah. And no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And but it was very, very kid friendly. Whereas this one, like, it's still technically, there's nothing crazy there. It's not going to blow your fucking mind if you're, a 12-year-old watches this. But this is how I remembered it as a kid, and they made it like an adult version of it.
It looks really cool.
It's so good. The art is amazing, and the story's amazing. And like he's dealing with like suicidal thoughts and just where the story's at, and it's pretty dark. It's good shit. So.
Is it driving towards any kind of conclusion, or is it still that never-ending serialized?
Here's the weird thing. When you first watched it, they dangled an ending in front of you and they'd yank it away.
That's what prevented me from getting into it.
It was always.
I'm fine with that though. That's like the child cartoon formula.
Well, absolutely.
I couldn't watch Quantum Leap either.
Well, it's a weird.
sliders.
It's a weird
Every
thing.
other
When,
procedural.
Will you go home? Quit. Sorry.
well, I'm saying when you're making a show like this and it's procedural, you don't want it to end, but you are constantly you want people to keep coming back for a reason.
Yeah.
And then sadly the show got canceled, and so we never did an ending, and now they have this, and now I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I actually want Aku to like pull back again, and I want another season of this because they did like basically the newest one. It was almost a standalone where you didn't really need it, but it was a good little vignette. And I'm like, I'd like more of these. That's fine.
That's
do
where
this for
you're,
another
that's
5
where
more
you're
seasons.
supposed to end it, though, is where people they don't want it to end, so then you end it. That's how it works.
Sometimes you got to stop.
It's like
Seinfeld
sex.
stopped.
It's like we did with Sex Swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I
They
stopped it.
They wanted
Too many
more,
people
so we
clamoring.
said no.
No, thank you.
Get off our junk.
We told our story.
trying to make gameplay
except for all those
videos.
other stories we came up with.
This
to
A&T
continue
is pretty
telling.
weak.
I
I said it
he's-
to Carpenter Brute, but they just played the trailer like 3 times back to back.
I don't know. We're not listening to it. I just needed some B-roll to play.
Oh wait, is Carpenter Brute in the show?
Not that I know of.
Aw.
Okay.
Maybe next time.
We'll get there.
Pass.
We are pretty much at the end of the show. We could talk about the Cars trailer and maybe the Blade Runner 2049 trailer.
Why not
Runner?
Hellboy.
I haven't watched Cars
No,
trailer.
Hellboy?
We can talk about Hellboy later. I don't
Blade
know.
Runner.
I'm sure
Blade
it'll
Runner
be
looks
real
great.
relevant.
Blade Runner looks so good, man.
Looks
That
good.
soundtrack,
I know.
those framing. I saw you got that wallpaper.
I did make
That
it a
Skyfall
wallpaper.
shot. Yeah,
You're
bud.
talking about Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Deakins is the DP, and it's looking good.
Looks real
Looking
good.
real good. But anyway, I believe that's the end of the show. So I want to
That
thank you
movie
guys.
better be like 2.5 hours long, right? Do you think the direct Villeneuve?
Do you
Dennis?
think?
Denny?
Do you think? Deckard is going to die? Do you think Harrison Ford's going to pass the mantle again?
He's dying in everything.
Do you
Yeah,
think?
I know.
I do.
Do you think
his
they'll put a
plan.
real pin on whether or not he's a replicant?
They already did.
I know.
No,
in the
no,
in the trailer.
No, well, years ago, Ridley Scott was like, yes.
I know that Ridley
He is
Scott.
a
Yeah,
did.
but Ridley
But then
Scott.
Harrison Ford
movie.
said, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
Well,
He's like, "That's what a replicant would
Well,
say."
shouldn't he have turned off by now?
That's the
Well,
thought.
so that's the other thing. The implication is in the film, you don't know what generation
Right.
he is, and you also don't know if he was. So there's a lot of in the first movie, because it's full of holes that are kind of interestingly placed for speculation's sake. There's like an implication that maybe they did solve the aging problem, or rather, they did make a round of Nexus that didn't have the baked-in age limit. So the only rules are if they made it with the age limit, you cannot take it out. But maybe they made some that
Do
didn't
you
have
think?
it.
Do you think that Ryan Gosling is a replicant?
I think
That would
There's
be too
narration
obvious,
in
right?
the trailer that says that you are
Yeah.
special.
I think yes. In the short story, the Philip K. Dick short story, it's heavily implied.
pretty
that,
obvious,
that
yeah.
Deckard was a replicant. So I think that I think that actually harkens back more to the short story than people thought.
I guess like, the question too is like, does it matter?
That's the
Yeah,
the
I mean,
other part.
I don't know. Like
It's supposed to drive home
someone
the-
argued that the Nexus 6 model that Rutger Hauer played, he was more human than Deckard.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know.
He had seen so many things.
Yeah.
The flames of the
Over the mountains of
Flames of
Orion.
Old Dune.
something.
I
So-
do love how Harrison Ford is doing the death run though.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, he's
Taking out all
like,
the
yeah,
little
I'll come back,
characters.
just kill me.
Indiana Jones. Can't wait for Indiana Jones.
Wait, well, he didn't die in 4, right?
Yeah, but they're doing another one.
They're
He's
do
going to die in 5?
Well,
Oh,
about
he
to get
must,
his head.
right?
They have to.
He's-
They have to kill him off.
I think he's like, my career, I'm going to retire soon. I don't want anybody else
I got planes to crash.
reprising these roles.
Anyway,
down.
anyway, like tears in the rain.
I'm
This
just so
episode's
excited.
lost forever.
Because it's the
We're out.
first movie is so thematically dense. To revisit that, but also build upon it like a good sequel should. I don't know how you do that with the original Blade Runner. That
Real
movie is
tough.
I cannot watch it and find a problem aside from like some of the obvious like production problems that did in influencing the movie.
We may get a Force Awakens type scenario where we notice that the narrative is very similar
It's
to
like
the
a
narrative
mirror.
of Blade Runner, so that way they can push through it again.
But that can totally factor into the actual plot of them implanting memories and then it can speak to issues of free will.
I mean, hey, again, I wasn't sitting during Force Awakens going like, I've seen this movie before, but it was so good,
Yeah, it was a good
you know,
movie.
and it made sense in terms of the thematics of it. So.
I guess in Force Awakens you could also draw the conclusion that the Force was guiding events to fall into the same pattern, which I hope Last Jedi will allude to. I've read about that.
Does anyone
probably.
else have issues with the fact that 2049 is so close? We're not even here.
But
We're gonna have to start building those weird statues now.
well, what
wait,
did
what was
Blade Runner?
the-
It's 2015.
It's
or something.
2017.
Yeah.
That is this year, my friend.
Hey, we did it.
And we're in LA.
Where's
And-
my pyramid city?
Oh, I thought
And
it
the
was
Nexus
2019.
6 has already come out.
2019?
Maybe I'm wrong.
So yeah, the next
let me
6
look it
come and gone. Actually, I
Yeah.
threw that away the other day.
Oh, rats.
Actually, I will say though, because Blade Runner is my all-time favorite movie. I watch it once a year. It's fantastic. Watch the documentary Dangerous Days, which I'm playing a little bit right now. It's a 3-hour making of a Blade Runner, and it is
It's November 20th.
it makes the movie better in my opinion because you see all the hardships that went into it and how ahead of its time it was. It's damn.
Oh, you're right.
What?
Sorry.
But
Blade
I
Runner was
wasn't-
November 2019.
Got time.
Whoa, we got
I'm
time,
pro-
guys.
Pyramid.
I was probably just wrong still.
Yeah, at least thanks for being wrong, but allowing me to arrive at the correct conclusion on my own.
No problem.
There's
That's
my-
why I like being around Elise. She
this is my
inspires
favorite,
me. To
my
be
favorite
right.
Blade Runner ripoff is the Batman Beyond intro.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The
Look at
Batman
that.
Beyond
It is.
intro is the most like cheesy 90s cyberpunk thing ever.
You loved it.
I loved it. It's weird because I loved it at the time, and then I went back and watched it like a year ago, and I was like, "Well, no shit, I loved this." It's like got crappy industrial
I never
music.
watched the show.
Really?
It looked kind of dumb.
It's
No,
pretty
it was great.
legit.
It is good.
It was good.
Actually, if you get a chance, watch was it Return of the Joker? It's just like a standalone movie. Pretty fucking good.
Batman in the future.
Yeah. Oh, here, listen to the theme
Listen to the
song.
music, man. It's fucking rad.
This is Lawrence.
Really sure.
Yeah, look at him.
Look at
The
that
show
rave.
is good.
Show's good.
Batman Beyond is good. Yeah.
They do like those.
His
fuzzy
girlfriend's
CG
Asian,
shots.
maybe. We don't know. It's the future. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ink.
Oh
he
my
had a
God.
pretty good monster roster too.
Not bad.
I mean, a lot of them were kind of new wave rebirths of animated series.
Closing
characters.
thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know if Valerian's going to be any good.
Yeah.
No, no.
It seems
Oh,
like
yeah.
Bethel
it
Magic.
seems
It's
like
not gonna
he
be
doesn't
good.
care about the
Oh, no,
acting
no,
at
no.
all,
No,
which
no,
is
no, no.
is going to be the bad thing.
Yeah.
Like
I
Fifth
can tell you
Element
that
was a
now.
movie where he's like, well, let's at least get someone who can like play this role. Let's get some really good performers in here.
Take it from somebody who saw Lockout in the theaters. It's not.
love
gonna,
Lockout.
It's not going to be good.
Lockdown.
I don't know
Wait, what was
if
it?
Cara
Was it Lockout?
I think it's
Cara
Lockout.
Delevingne or whatever.
Delevingne
Delevingne
is
or-
gonna
They look
be
the
able to
same.
carry this.
Yeah.
She looks like the Joker, but it's
Yeah.
actually Enchantress.
I mean,
Delevingne.
she's like a model, and he's
I don't know. We'll
he's
see.
this.
So
It looks like-
Fifth Element was not stacked with great actors.
How dare you?
it just
Bruce
had an
Willis.
amazing.
How dare you, Chris Tucker?
Bruce Willis is a fantastic.
Chris
actor.
Tucker is great. Played a cartoon. Like if
Gary Oldman, an amazing actor.
no, you're right. You're right.
Zeus.
I'm thinking more like all the supporting
Wait,
cast.
is Zeus the guy who's like the deaf
No,
guy?
Zeus is the president.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
This is a good actor.
Who's the dude who's like he's deaf as hell? He's the, like, I don't know. He's,
Oh wait,
or he's like the
the
day who's like I don't know.
My biggest
Yeah.
hope is that this is what we
Whoa.
hoped that
Ascending?
Jupiter Ascending was going to be.
Yeah, if it's at least pretty and not boring, I'll appreciate that. But don't think we're gonna be
looks pretty.
putting this back in theaters.
Rihanna's in
whatever, 20 years later, like
Well,
we're
yeah.
doing
Why
with
isn't
Fifth
Fifth Element got another theater run? Is that
Because
happening?
this.
It's happening.
Because it's
Oh, well, yeah.
this.
Did you say why or why not?
This
Why
is the
not?
closest
Oh,
we're
it
getting
is.
to a Fifth Element
So
sequel.
Fifth Element's getting a theater run again?
Yeah.
Fuck yes. I never got to see that in theaters. I've
Well, it
always
might
wanted
be
to do
sold
that.
out, so you should check into that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like one day.
that's one of those things. Like
Let you borrow
I
my
thought,
DVD. Look at
I
that.
thought I
Watch
found
it.
it.
That's
This
not a
thing.
good
Watch this is
sign.
cool.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Rihanna is
That's a cool effect.
She is not a okay replacement for Plava Laguna's
Is
diva or whatever.
is what's his name?
Navi.
The fashion dude doing the costuming for this?
I don't know. Someone French.
It looks like
Anyway,
Gerard
we got to end the
No,
show.
I mean that.
Gerard Depardieu is
in the show.
Who did costuming for Fifth Element?
It doesn't matter. We're gonna
Yeah,
look it
it
up
does.
later. Okay. All
gonna
right.
look it
Well,
up.
thanks again for watching,
Mobius.
everyone. We'll see you in every other week.
Yeah.
Jean-Paul Gaultier. There we
That's
go.
hey. Thanks for sticking around.
Maybe it's him.
Oh, we just confirmed that Paul Walker didn't matter.
By the way, spoiler: he's not in the movie. They refer to him, but he is never in the movie. They
Briefly.
don't show CG face or anything.
Not at the end, even.
Nothing.
No, he's referenced once.
You
where
stayed
they-
through the whole credits.
No.
There was there
That's
a
true. He
post-
could have been in. He could have. Thanks again, Rock.
I thought it was just gonna